Hi, how are you today? We now move on to chapter 7, which is about the fourth principle, namely that of timelessness. If we think about life, there's a great spectrum of predictability there. At the low end of predictability, and because I live here I know all about it, there is predicting or forecasting Irish weather. I can tell you, it's almost impossible. And at the other end of the scale of predictability, there is certainty. And an example of that is death. We are all certain to die at some stage. I think it would be really great if we were able to move strategic management towards the certainty end of that particular scale. Now, if we look at professional people and their ability to get forecasts right, one crowd of people that I think do it tremendously well are actuarial professionals. You know, for example, they will load an insurance premium for health, load it up for, say, a man who is in his 50s and who smokes and drinks and leads a stressful life. He will tend to pay much more than a non-smoking, careful female in her 30s. Now, one of the reasons that insurance actuaries can do that so successfully is they base it not on data about the individual, but on cross-sectional data, where they take a broad cross-section of a particular class of person, and they say, on the basis of this cross-section, we can make predictions for individuals. For example, one class of person, which is a terrific class of person, but is notoriously bad at driving, or rather driving without crashing, are 17-year-old youths who have just passed their driving tests. There's a fairly good chance that they will be involved, I'm sorry to say, in some sort of accident. So there's a loading of the premium for that. Now, one of the things about the strategy compass is that it's based on cross-sectional data. The data from PIMS is cross-sectional. And because of that, the laws of the strategy compass should be timeless. And I think this is great news for students of strategic management. It means once you have those laws firmly in your head, you don't need to revisit them. Let me give you examples of the timelessness of it and also its generic nature. Irrespective of the identity of any particular firm, if it has the following characteristics, I think it's likely to fail. If its competitive position is poor in terms of its market share, its quality, its innovation and its patents and market control, if its asset utilization is poor in terms of investment intensity, the level of fixed assets, capacity utilization and productivity, if its leadership is poor, if there's a poor behavioural climate, if they are in low growth fragmented markets, if there are small ticket items, if logistics are complex and if customers have strong power, a firm with those characteristics, I think, is almost certain to fail. Looking at this a bit more optimistically, I can say that a firm which has these characteristics is almost certain to succeed. Strong competitive position, you can read what that means. Good asset utilization, you can see what that means. Really good leadership and operating in fine markets. Such a firm is almost certain to succeed. So the argument of this short podcast is the following. Because the data of the strategy compass is cross-sectional, and because the views are generic, they don't apply to any particular company, it makes for timelessness. Putting it to you in a slightly different way, once you have this information firmly embedded in your way of looking at strategic challenges, you ought to be able to solve most problems in any era. Once again, almost all the hardware, software and music is based on Apple, and it just remains for me to thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast, to wish you goodbye and thank you once again. Goodbye.